Hey,
Hello.
my computer still isn't working, so on the laptop.
That's fun.
As long as it sounds good, that's all I care about.
Does
Good.
so we just really have three movies, right? Plus 80, plus 92.
Remind me.
Doctor Strange, Suicide for Beginners, Jeremiah Johnson, and then we had Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even, Crisscross, The Favor, The Watch, and The Very Big Fish. One False Move and Poison Ivy.
I forgot about a movie called Happening that I watched this week as well. Also, I got a couple of things, news items, I guess you could call them, that we can do. We could talk about the Avatar trailer. Did you get the Cronenberg trailer I sent you?
The what?
The new David Cronenberg movie trailer?
I don't think so.
You know, go take a look at it before we go. Or no, we're already on, aren't we?
Well, we're on YouTube. We're not on anywhere else. Let's see here.
The Avatar trailer dropped today, and then I actually just did this thing where I watched a movie on Scorsese, Martin Scorsese's very own platform. He has a very own streaming platform that he started, which is really awesome, and it's free. He's showing old movies for free, and he's hosting it every week.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Scorsese podcast.
Okay, let's see here.
I don't know if it's in our chat or not. I thought I sent it, but I could be wrong.
Is the movie Hatching or Happening?
Hatching is the one that we're doing. I think next week because it'll be out on streaming then, so you can see it. That's what I want you to see before we talk about. Happening is one that came out over the weekend that I haven't written about yet, but I was going to.
Let's see here. Have our, I wonder if I can be on YouTube and streaming YouTube at the same time.
Too much for your internet?
Well, I mean, I don't know how that all works.
Mm-hmm.
What is the trailer I'm watching?
Oh, shit. David Cronenberg. This is the new one. What the heck is it called? Viggo Mortensen's in it. Yeah, David Cronenberg trailer 2022. There you go. Yeah, Crimes of the Future.
Teaser or the trailer? Let's see here. 3 weeks ago, 3 days ago. Let's do this one. That is something else.
What was the last Cronenberg movie we talked about? Do you remember?
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't remember either. That's fine.
Videodrome?
Was it Videodrome? Yeah, that was giving me kind of vibes of what he does. Just that kind of vibe. Like, remember that movie with the woman who had like, oh, was she pregnant and she had things crawling around in her belly? It was gross. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's start the show.
All right. Let's get to it. All right. Get plugged in. All right. Stop the show so I can see what we're doing. And go. Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zero. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. Visit us at IHateCritics.net, Everyone's Critic Podcast.com, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. Like us there. Subscribe to the show. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Alexa, Stitcher, all your podcatchers. Leave a review at Apple Podcasts and a 5-star rating, and we will read your review on the air and give you a 4K Blu-ray that Sean's been receiving from various studios over the last year. We will read your review on the air as well. Record live on Monday nights, usually on YouTube. Check our show notes for the link there, and be sure to subscribe to get notified when we go live. We also make that on. We also let you know on our social media pages as well. Patreon.com/criticspod, the best way to support the podcast. Again, link in the show notes. Then our TeePublic page, also link in our show notes. Or go to IHateCritics.net and click on the merch link up in the right-hand corner. All right, we have a lot of different things to get to, but kind of a short show, more or less. Let's just start with news. You want to take it from here?
Yeah, Avatar. They dropped the trailer for the next Avatar movie today, which a lot of people are excited about. I think people realize that I'm not excited about that because I'm not an Avatar fan. I don't think you're an Avatar fan. I didn't really think there were any Avatar fans, but apparently there are a lot of them out there. But it's called The Way of the Water, and it's another special effects spectacle from a guy who just doesn't like actors. Apparently, I don't know. He just wants to play with his toys. He wants to play with his technological toys. And I'm sorry, but give me a Cronenberg movie every time. Give me everything, everywhere, all the time. There's room in the world for Avatar. I get it, but I'm just not going to be excited. Just because I want a human story. I want to, I just want to be moved by humanity, and I'm not particularly moved by his version of Native Americans in space. Like, I just have this terrible feeling it's going to be just really offensively like taking the tropes that we've had of like Native Americans in the 90s about how every Native American is spiritual and all, and just going to transfer that, but they're aliens, so we can't call them out on it. And I'm going to call my shot right now on this. I'm going to say that Jake Sully dies. I'm going to say that right now because I think Sam Worthington's probably not a big enough star for them to keep him in the movie, so they're going to kill him off.
Well, he's not a big enough star because he's been making this next series over the last 15 years. He has not had a chance to do anything else. And poor Zoe Saldana has been in makeup and everything she's done since then. So I don't know. I could give two shits about Avatar, and the way movies are going in terms of blockbusters makes me want to see it even less. It's already hard, which we'll get to later on with the movie that came out this week. It's already hard to for me to even get to the theater anymore to see something like what came out this week, let alone something that anymore. I don't want any more franchises. I don't want any more remakes. And I think we got a lot of that coming up over the next few months, probably the next
feels
few
that
years.
Next week, nothing but remake.
And I want everything everywhere all at once. I want that. Even the Northman, all of a sudden, as much as I was kind of burnt out when I saw that, is getting a new life in my mind. Just due to the fact that there's nothing out there to see. And you mentioned Cronenberg. He had a trailer drop too that was just flat out phenomenal. We watched it on YouTube. Crimes of the Future, is that what it was? Yeah,
Crimes of the Future.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what this movie is. I'm fascinated as hell. Obviously, tons of body horror in the trailer alone. I can't wait to see this, and I'm sure I won't get to see it in theaters. I think it will get a wide release.
It may, if it does well, it can't, maybe it wins Cannes, maybe if that's possible. I don't know if it's in competition or not, but then it could maybe. American movies rarely win at Cannes, so that would be something to give it a lift. But I've also seen a June or July release date that could indicate maybe it'll go to theaters. But it does have Kristen Stewart. She's becoming more and more of a bankable star. Viggo Mortensen's kind of past his prime as a bankable star, but he's still relatively well known. There's a chance it could get to theaters. Let's be optimistic in this day and age. It seems like there might be less of a barrier for a movie like this. So let's be hopeful about it. It's an awesome trailer. It's so good. I don't I don't know what it's about. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what Viggo Mortensen's character is hiding underneath that giant cloak that he's wearing, but I want to know. What the hell is he growing on himself or whatever that is? I don't know. I'm excited though. I'm excited for all of that. It definitely has a lot of Videodrome vibe. Definitely has a lot of the Brood vibe. It's a lot of that, and of course, it gives us another opportunity to just choose another Cronenberg movie to watch as a classic. So that just makes it even better.
Well, wasn't it you that told me that this movie makes Crash look like the NC-17 movie Crash? Look like a walk in the park compared to this thing?
I don't know if it was me that said that, but yeah, I think I've heard somebody say something like that.
Yeah. So
we got a Red Band trailer of it right now.
Oh yeah, and only from the subject matter. There's really nothing in it that's Red Band other than the subject, which I don't know what it is, but it's so the subject matter. There's so much body horror just in the premise that you have to have a Red Band trailer just to even watch it. So that alone is fascinating. I can't wait for that week whenever it comes.
Definitely excited about that movie, and as much as listeners were inundated with Doctor Strange this week and Firestarter next week, we do have Men coming up very soon from Alex Garland, so there are things to look forward to.
Yeah, I see Men out there is limited. I'm hoping that next week there's not a whole lot going on. Maybe they'll let it come with Firestarter. I don't know. I doubt it.
I think it's a week later that it goes wide. So I think a week after.
Perfect.
I believe so. I'm not, because the advertising push for it is pretty big right now.
Well, the only thing they're going after that week is Downton Abbey, so I think that's the ideal week to. But if you're going to release something, release it that week.
Sure.
And I think we might have a special surprise that week because something turns 30.
Oh.
I'll tell you what turns 30. You guess what the surprise is. Alien 3 turns 30.
Oh my God. Is the surprise Josh? Yay, Josh.
Hopefully. Until he's here, he hasn't come back, but to have an A24 movie land the same week as Josh coming back would be pretty awesome. And
that would be great.
Men looks phenomenal. Another movie, I think I know what the premise is, but it's still confusing enough that I'm just kind of like, I can't wait to see this.
I couldn't resist like reading a couple of reviews that were, they say it's polarizing, which again is just absolutely what I want to hear.
Which you saying that makes me feel like I got what it's going for, at least on a simple level. I'm sure there's way more deep based on who the director is, but I can't wait. Were there other news items you wanted to go over?
Let's see. Oh, yes. I wanted to mention that Martin Scorsese is doing a very interesting thing where he is now, I don't know if he's doing this weekly or just how often he's going to be doing this, but he's hosting his very own like free streaming movie. It's really interesting. So it's called, let's see, tonight they showed the Film Foundation Restoration Screening Room is what they're calling it. And tonight he showed the Powell Pressburger movie, I Know Where I'm Going. And this is a 1945 film about a woman who is traveling to Ireland, to an island off of Ireland where she's supposed to marry a much older, very rich man. And it's a classic. It's a classic film. And Michael Powell and Mr. Pressburger, Emmerich Pressburger, were a directing team back in the day, and they directed a number of different movies that Martin Scorsese absolutely loves. And this one stars Wendy Hiller and Roger Livesay, not people who are very well known, but this is a wonderful film. The essential story is just a basic love story. She arrives in this Irish village. She's got to get across this very dangerous loch, this very dangerous body of water to get to the castle where she's supposed to marry this older man. Obviously, she's stuck there. She gets stuck with this soldier who she obviously begins to fall in love with. They have kind of an adventure trying to get to the island, but you have to see it for yourself. It's a wonderful film, though, and I watched that today. And I believe Martin Scorsese is going to be doing this on a regular basis. I think he has a Fellini movie coming up as well that's going to be part of this. And I mean, if you just love classic film, you're going to want to be part of this. The Film Restoration Screening Room through Delphi Marketing is how I found out about it. Everybody needs to look into this just to see what Martin Scorsese is doing. And he's, like I said, he hosted this tonight. So he came on before the movie and talked about Powell and Pressburger and his love for their movies. And it was really cool.
That's awesome. I can't wait till Tarantino does this and we get all 70s Grindhouse movies. But no, this sounds, I mean, I would definitely be interested in something like that, especially if he's, there presenting it. That's pretty awesome.
And it's free. That's the thing. That's free.
Better.
It's basically just Scorsese trying to get people to watch these older movies that he and his people have been working on. Like they did full restoration of this film to make it presentable again, and it looks gorgeous.
Trying to get people to watch cinema instead of
exactly. He's going to win that argument with me.
Yeah. Before we get there, though, I don't have the picture ready, but do you want to start with Happening? Not the Happening, but Happening. Not
the Happening. No, this has nothing to do with M. Night. Happening is a movie it's from France, and it's set in the early 1970s. A woman named Anne is going to college, and she finds out that she's gotten pregnant. It was obviously unplanned. This is not something she wants. She's got a career track ahead of her. She's trying to get through college to become a professor. So she's definitely not happy about this situation. It turns out, in case you didn't know this, France did not legalize abortion until 1975, actually after we did. So this is set prior to that. And in France at the time, you couldn't even talk about abortion. If you talked about it, you could be in trouble. So she's got to figure out a way to manage this system by trying to find somebody who'd be willing to help her. And obviously that's leading her down a very dangerous path to a point where she's going to end up very much risking her life to try and get rid of this child. It is a movie that is very harrowing. It's very scary. She's got no support whatsoever. The boyfriend that she was with He's this rich kid who just tells her to handle it and get away from him. She tries to tell her two best friends, but as she tries to tell them, it's criminal to even get them involved. They could become accomplices if they were to know about it. So she's basically robbed of any support that she could get. Her friends abandon her when she tries to tell them what's happening. She's just on her own, and it goes from there. You have to see for yourself. But it is, if it's not a movie that was intended to be so timely, but I don't think anybody saw coming what came last week, and it makes this movie just so relevant and so timely and so terrifying, because you watch this movie and you see what it was like in France before abortion was legalized, and now here obviously we're looking at a situation like that very soon. It underlines the importance of the pro-choice movement, and why it should be legal and available. Because people are going to do this. Women are going to die because of this. If the Supreme Court continues what they're doing, women will die because of this.
Yeah, it's wow. Yeah, it's been definitely been a rough week for that, to say the least. Not that this is a political podcast, but
no, but
it's still.
I think everybody who listens to us by now.
Why is that politics?
I don't know.
It's just stupid.
But you listen to the show, you know where we stand already, so you shouldn't be surprised to hear me say stuff like this.
Yeah, all I can do is I don't even know what I can do. It's you just hope and pray to the invisible, non-existent person, this guy, that this isn't real, and that it doesn't, or something happens where this doesn't happen.
Amen to that. But this movie is incredible. It's a must-see. I think people should, if you're kind of on the fence maybe about where you stand in this issue, watch this movie. It'll give you a sense of what we're staring down the barrel of, and not good. Definitely not good.
Is it available right now everywhere?
I'm not sure if it's available everywhere. It may be a couple weeks out. It's from IFC, so check out IFC's website to see exactly. I believe they went with a limited release this weekend and may go with a VOD release in a couple of weeks.
All right, I'm definitely marking that one to check out. That has been obviously a topic of interest for a lot of people, and myself included. It's always nice to have good argument points. Not that they're really that hard to come by, but
no, it's a group of people pushing their religion on everybody else.
Yeah, just fucking horrible. All right, let's see here. Let's move on to the movie we all came here to see. First, let me get the pictures ready. A kid did an update to my computer, so everything's acting weird. The YouTube people at home and the people listening are just like, just shut up and get to the podcast. Where did you go? This doesn't look like it's it. No, it is. Maybe. All right. Can you see?
No.
Sharing is paused. Resume sharing. Maybe. Stop share. Resume. How about now?
Yeah, I can see something.
All right. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Stars Benedict Cumberbatch in the role of Doctor Strange for the fourth or fifth time. This is his second solo film, and basically the idea here is that he's dealing somewhat with the consequences of what he did in Spider-Man, where he essentially broke open the multiverse. The movie opens with a character named America Chavez. She's running through this very strange universe that is like a junction point for the multiverse. She's a character who can move through the multiverse. That's her power that if anybody else has. And she's with a version of Doctor Strange, and we watch that version of Doctor Strange get killed, and she escapes into the Marvel universe that we're familiar with. There, she's chased down by a giant monster, which catches the attention of our Doctor Strange in our universe, who goes chasing after it and destroys it and saves her and starts to hear her story about the multiverse. And he sets out, obviously, then to protect her from whoever it is that's coming after her. He seeks out the Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen, to help protect this girl. But the Scarlet Witch has a secret that is the key to the rest of the plot. I don't know if I want to go into spoilers or not. I hate this movie. I think it's awful. Awful is a strong word, I guess. I just hated the choices that they made. The choices that they made, for one thing, they take one character who is, I thought anyway, was quite beloved and treat them just horribly. They take characters that they introduce here, and granted, these are multiverse versions of these characters, so they're not our universe version of these characters, but they treat them like chumps. They just have them just totally destroyed, like nothing. Like these cameos are the worst. They make all these characters look like fools. If you were looking forward to the cameos, just don't bother looking forward to it because it's terrible. Just the choices that they make here, I'm so baffled by the idea that Doctor Strange is the one who's going to be indignant about people moving through the multiverse. You're the one who screwed this all up so you can help a college kid get into college. And now suddenly we've got to take him seriously as the guardian of the multiverse. Are you kidding me? You're the one who screwed this up. Suddenly you care? But that's fine. That's a Spider-Man problem that I'm bringing to this movie. The choices that they make in this movie are just so irritating to me. They don't even understand how their own multiverse works. He's like in another universe with America. She takes him to this other universe, and they run into the character played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, who became kind of a potential villain at the end of the first Doctor Strange, when he and Doctor Strange essentially stopped being friends. And Doctor Strange is in this new universe, and he just assumes that Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, who's now in charge of the Sanctum in this version, is going to be his villain, and he's going to hate him, and they're going to be at odds. And it's like, why would you assume that? You're in an entirely different universe. He's an entirely different person who came about with an entirely different Doctor Strange. So why are you getting ready to fight him? You don't even know that he's hangry at you. And America, who jumps from multiverse to multiverse, is having the same thought. And then later on in the movie, they do this again, where again, they don't understand their own multiverse. Doctor Strange is talking to another Doctor Strange in a different universe. And this Doctor Strange asks him to prove who he is. So he says he has a sister that he's never talked about before, named Donna, who died when they were children. She fell in some ice and drowned, and he couldn't save her. And it's kind of plagued him his entire life. They're introducing this now after 5 times he's played this character. Never mind, not important. But that's enough proof for this other Doctor Strange to say, oh, yes, you are me. You are Doctor Strange from another universe. It's like, so is Donna just dead in every universe? Like, how does your multiverse work? Why isn't there a universe where Donna became Doctor Strange and you died? Obviously, there's got to be one of the multiverse. There has to be one, right? So dumb. So dumb. And so many just dumb choices that they make for the convenience of the story. Like the main villain in this movie has to be made to look like a complete fool throughout, because the main villain keeps making the dumbest possible choices. When they bring America to our universe, when they finally cornered her in our universe, instead of just going to the place to get the girl, which is the villain just wants to get their hands on America so they can go to another universe, they send a monster to go get her. And just go do it yourself. I mean, if I told you who the villain of this movie was, Bob, it would basically say, you would just look at that and go, well, why don't they just go do it themselves then? It should be very easy. On top of which, they get a second opportunity to do it, and instead of doing that, they give a villain speech and tell what the plot is. And it's like, how are people letting this slide? That this is so lazy. I mean, and this main villain, who's apparently so important in this movie, is treated so poorly, on top of being a character that I think people actually love. So it really bugs me that people are okay with this character being treated this way.
Is the main villain front and center on the poster?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've read enough that I think. I mean, yeah, those who are going to see it are going to see it, but yeah.
Most people have already seen it, who are going to see it.
Right.
I'm dancing around it to be nice, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
I'm so angry at this movie. There are so many things wrong with this movie. It's got the worst trope, one of the worst tropes in modern movies, which is the bury your gays trope. Have you heard about this? This is a movie. This is essentially where a big time blockbuster movie will have a token, gay couple, but that gay couple can't be front and center, and oftentimes they will die in some way to make sure that, hey, we're here, and then we're gone, so we don't have to deal with you in the rest of the plot. So America has two moms, and in her universe, in whatever her home universe was. And when her powers kick in, she accidentally sends her two moms to another multiverse, to another universe. Now, these are two actresses who nobody knows. They're two unknown actresses who don't have any lines. And the movie does try to argue that, well, maybe they're still out there. Maybe they lived. Maybe they're in a universe where you can go and find them. But by the end of the movie, America is not looking for her moms. And I guarantee you there is no future Marvel movie where we're going to follow America Chavez as she goes looking for her moms, because no one's going to recognize these two actors if they see them. So this is bury your gays. I'm sorry, it is. These two characters are dead, essentially, because no one's going to go looking for them. And it just bugs me that people are just letting all this stuff slide about this, especially the way they treat the main villain, which is just horrible. It's just awful. The way this character gets done dirty in this movie, it makes me angry. And that there are 81% of critics who watch this and are just letting all these plot holes go baffles me.
Well, and that's the problem that I foresee with multiverse movies is there's a level of laziness in storytelling that you're allowed to get away with, but I don't want to let him get away with it. It certainly sounds like you don't want to let him get away with it. You got arguably a great director in Sam Raimi running this thing. I expect more than, something simple, something hiding behind a multiverse to make up for any lack of good story that we have going on. And I feel like that's what they're doing here. They're thinking about, they're getting people to the theater for the whole cameo bullshit. And the fact that it's a Marvel movie. You're riding on the coattails of Spider-Man being actually pretty fun and good. Mm-hmm. And it's just disappointing. And I just see the further they go down this multiverse hole, the less and less interested I'm already not interested to the point where I didn't go see it. I have no interest in seeing it. Mm-hmm. I'm not rooting against it. I want it to be good. I want people to enjoy these movies. But I'm going to hold it to a different standard. And the fact that everything, everywhere, all at once exists is not, I don't expect our movie to be that. Mm-hmm. But we're like 3 multiverse movies in, and it probably knocked it out of the park as far as you could knock it out of the park. Mm-hmm. So they may have ruined them for me forever. I don't really know. I don't really need to anymore. I just feel like it's going to be used as a crutch to negotiate contracts with actors, bring them in and out, where you can kill them off, but bring them here over there. And it's just going to get confusing. And just like you said, there's 5 movies in, we find out he has a dead sister that apparently is dead in every universe.
Apparently. You just said something, though, that kind of bugs me now and creates yet another plot hole, because the whole thing about that they put together in this version of the multiverse is that America is the only one who can travel between universes. Well, no, because Spider-Man and Spider-Man's villains all traveled through the multiverse, apparently. They all came into our universe. So no, America's not the only one. Doctor Strange can break open the multiverse if he wants to. He's done it. So how can you sit there and tell me that America is the only one who can do it? So why doesn't the main villain just go to Doctor Strange and say, hey, I noticed you were able to open the multiverse. Could you open it again to let me go through? Plot hole. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Because plot holes don't exist in the multiverse. And I feel like that's going to be a convenience that ruins these movies, or that ruins the bad ones going forward, is that they use the multiverse as a crutch to say, well, no, because, I mean, even in your review, you had to mention, even when you said out loud here, I understand it's a multiverse. They're hiding behind that. And and to me, that's bullshit. It's lazy filmmaking from a studio who hasn't been all that lazy. But I think they're working themselves into a corner, and the multiverse basically gets rid of corners. Which then, at some point, you would think the audience would get sick of it. So I don't know how that's going to work itself out.
Is there a good thing about this movie? The zombie Doctor Strange that we do see, there's a version of Doctor Strange that is a zombie, and that's pretty cool. It's a good visual. It works. But that zombie character leads to one of the worst moments in any movie I've seen in a very long time. I'm avoiding saying who the villain is. The villain is a witch. That's all I'll say, but I'm not going to say what witch.
Or what color.
Damn it, Bob. So America is finally Doctor Strange. First of all, the message of this movie, by the way, the moral of the story is believe in yourself. That's it. Believe in yourself. So he convinces America to believe in herself, that she can control her powers of holding the multiverse. So she does it. She does this little thing, and she shows herself that she can control it. She can control her powers. And Doctor Strange looks at her and says, now go kick that witch's ass. And I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you. That's what you're going to say right now. Screw you. Shouldn't it be that she controls her powers now? And even the payoff is she opens up a hole into another universe to show this person what they want and why it's a bad thing to want, which is all she had to do. But no, she's got to walk over and start punching her. They have to have a punch fight first. That's another thing I hate about this dumb movie, is that you've got magic in this movie, and the magic that they use here, they use to turn magic into arrows and missiles. Like, can't you think of anything better to do with magic than to turn them into guns or to use them for harder punching? Come on.
Well, you would think
it's magic, for God's sake.
With magic, you'd be able to, if you were going to use it for violence, you'd be able to bypass the weapon part of it, because the magic is the weapon.
I would think so, but apparently we have such a limited imagination that basically these aren't people who learn magic. They're fucking ninjas. They're punching each other with magic.
On a completely unrelated note to this and bad guy person fight, I heard Elizabeth Olsen's really good in it.
She is great in this, and that's really so interesting, because she's so much better than the material that they've given her to work with. And she damn near, there's a scene near the end where she damn near makes this thing work in a way that I didn't think it could. It couldn't have saved the movie. There's nothing that could save this from all the problems that I have with it, but she is so amazing. On top of which, she's actually gone on TV recently promoting this one, saying she wants it held to a standard. She wants this to be held to a standard that they're making films that do count as, I don't want to say art, but she's like, hold it to that standard. Hold us to a standard that you would hold any other movie to. So that's what I'm doing. I'm holding this movie to a standard of movies. I think, and this is just my theory, I think Sam Raimi has gotten to a point in his life where he's a little bit older, and he's looking at a comic book movie now, instead of looking at it like he did with Spider-Man, or maybe he did look at Spider-Man the same way, as a kid's movie. He's just looking at this as a kid's movie. And if that's fine, if this is a kid's movie, cool. I guess that then believe in yourself is a great message, and nothing matters. Nothing at all matters.
I also heard this is pretty dark and somewhat scary for a Marvel movie. Is that not accurate?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, like those cameo characters die horribly, so yeah, that's kind of a horror element. But I don't know, because again, the moral of the story, Bob, is believe in yourself. We take 2.5 hours to get to the point of believe in yourself.
Yet the reason Sam Raimi is making this movie because he doesn't believe in himself. He's not made anything original since What Dragged Me to Hell. Everything else has been somewhat of an existing IP. And not that Dragged Me to Hell was amazing, but I didn't hate it. I thought it was better than some of the shit he's done. I'd love him to go. Not that he needs to do another Evil Dead, but go back and do your own thing. Believe in yourself, Sam, and do something original again. I think you won't have anybody telling you what to do. Complete creative control, telling your own story. You don't got to worry about making $100 million or $1 billion, whatever the hell you got to do. Just get a low budget, do your weird body horror stuff, and I don't know. He's gone down this. I like him. Some of his movies are some of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But Cronenberg's never made a Marvel movie. He's never made a Wizard of Oz movie. He's always done his own thing. And those are two guys that kind of started out similar times. Sam, even from a more independent background, and just taking different routes. And I'll take a Cronenberg movie any day. And I like Raimi.
Amen. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned Evil Dead. The stinger at the very, 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 very end, like after credits, is an Evil Dead reference. So if you haven't seen Evil Dead, don't bother staying to the end of the credits, because you're going to be like, "What was that about?" So, on top of which, that's just it's Bruce Campbell. He fights his own hand. There you go. That's the post credit scene, is him fighting his hand.
Does it have anything to do with Marvel at all?
No, it's just an Evil Dead reference. There's a mid credits that sets up the next movie, which is a really dumb mid credit scene. Which again, I have to mention that if you don't do your homework before seeing this, you're going to be just forget it. Don't even bother. You have to watch WandaVision. You have to watch Spider-Man. You have to watch the previous Doctor Strange movie. You have to watch Evil Dead. All of that before you can, and I think you'd have to go through some of the comics too to understand what we're looking at here, because otherwise, because they introduce a character in the mid-credit scene that's just a character I have no idea who they are. I recognize the actress. I know who that actress is, but I don't know who that character is. That character has never been introduced before. Oh, by the way, this character can travel through the multiverse too, apparently. So anybody can do it. I guess.
Just gotta believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. There's only one character who can do it.
Is the mid-credit scene of the Charlize Theron?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I've seen her name popping up lately. That's why I'm wondering. It's just I don't want to say that was because I wasn't rooting for this to be this way, but it certainly seemed like it was going to be, and it's just a bummer.
I've liked every Marvel movie. I'm pretty sure, like all the Marvel movies, I'm pretty sure I've given all of them a relatively positive review. Aside from maybe one of the Hulk movies.
I think at worst, you're just kind of like, it's good.
Yeah.
Even the
and at times, I mean, Eternals was like probably the least of my favorites. Maybe Thor: The Dark World wasn't great. It wasn't terrible though. I kind of like Thor: The Dark World a little bit. Like I've liked almost all of these movies. So to reach this point with this one and just hating it so much is just, it's very specific to this movie. Now I feel like I'm going to get a whole bunch of the Mad Max fans are coming back now. The Fury Road fans are going to come for me again. I didn't like their pet movie. Now I hate all Marvel movies. That's what somebody said to me the other day is, "Oh, you just hate Marvel." I'm like, what? No, I've got over a decade of positive Marvel reviews. Give me a break here.
I'm not. Well, I guess I've liked a lot of the Marvel movies too, but they have pushed me away, and this might be the final nail in the coffin. Yeah. Anything else before we move on?
I'm not sure about Black Panther anymore. I'm worried about what they're going to do to Black Panther 2, and especially without Chadwick Boseman, does it have the same? I don't know. Is Ryan Coogler directing? I don't know. If he's not directing it, and obviously Chadwick's gone, that this could be a continuing downslope for Marvel at this point, and I'm a little nervous now.
All right, Suicide for Beginners is our next movie.
Yeah, Suicide for Beginners is a different kind of bad movie. This is about a guy who is a stalker, played by Will Daniels, who has kidnapped the girlfriend of his roommate because he wants to be with her, but she's with his roommate. So he decides that he's going to kill her and make it look like a suicide. But he keeps getting interrupted. Like, this pizza guy comes to deliver a pizza, and then the pizza guy becomes really chatty and wants to be his friend. And then the pizza guy's girlfriend shows up, and they both come in the house. And then they see that he's got this girl tied up in the basement. So he's got to tie them up and put them in the basement. Then her landlord shows up, which is one of the three from hell. One of Rob Zombie's guys is the landlord. Yeah, and so he's got to tie him up and take him hostage. There's a kid who's got to. And then he just eventually breaks down to where this guy is just murdering loads of people in his neighborhood to try and. It's supposed to be kind of like a Looney Tunes horror movie where he's trying to cover up his crime and he keeps having to kill one witness after another and after another, and that's supposed to be funny, but it never is. None of these actors are charismatic enough to make this stuff work. The pacing isn't strong enough to make this idea work. It's just everything about it is just ever so slightly off. The main character just isn't interesting enough. He's just a creep, and I think I needed more than him being just a creep. I don't know. I can't tell. I don't think. Obviously, he's a murdering psychopath, so he's not supposed to be likable. But then nobody in the movie, even his victims, are not likable. Nobody in the movie is likable. So who am I supposed to grab onto here? The girlfriend isn't bad, but she's incredibly a bland character. She's spending most of her time with a gag in her mouth. When doesn't have a gag in her mouth, she doesn't really have much of anything interesting to say other than "please let me go." It's like she's an actual hostage in this movie, like us in the audience. It's just not very good, unfortunately.
It's funny. Movies like this that you would never, ever have to see. This is what the world is coming to, that now we have to sift through these type of movies to get to, but at the same time, I think you would agree that you're happy to sift through these if you're going to get some of the gems you have found the last. I mean, I'm
telling you, this is one of the best movie years of all time so far. I mean, just given with Happening and The Hatching, like both those two movies, just in the last week I saw those, and then of course Everything Everywhere and The Northman. Like, this is one of the best years for movies I've seen in a long time. And, occasionally I'm going to get a movie like this, but next week we're going to talk about a movie called Tank House that isn't a world-changing great movie, but it's a really fun comedy that I really enjoyed. So we'll talk about that one next week. So yeah, it's definitely worth watching as many of these movies as I can get my hands on to see maybe I'm going to find something amazing, because I have been finding some amazing stuff. I can't wait for you to see Hatching. It's so good.
I can't wait either. Is it out yet, or do I have to wait till Friday?
I think it might be Friday. If not Friday, the following Friday. But I think they're releasing it for Friday the 13th on VOD.
Cool. All right, let's move on to our undisputed classic for reasons only Twitter knows about. Jeremiah Johnson.
So allow me to set the scene here. So somebody, a millennial, I guess it was, on Twitter, posted a thing where they said that they didn't recognize that the person in the picture was Robert Redford, and it's a meme. So everybody, but the boomers immediately got triggered. How do you not know what Jeremiah Johnson is? Jeremiah Johnson. It's like no. it's not that they didn't recognize Jeremiah Johnson. It's that they didn't recognize Robert Redford with a beard in the meme, because this picture of him smiling over his shoulder and the camera pushing in on his face is an approval meme. It's a meme that you post when you approve of something that somebody says. You post that meme of that guy smiling over his shoulder. That's who he didn't recognize. I'm betting they didn't even have any. If they didn't know that was Robert Redford, they certainly don't know what Jeremiah Johnson is.
I'm glad you went there, because I was a little worried. I'm like, hold on. Because I had never heard of Jeremiah Johnson until you said, let's make it the classic. And I was like, all right. And,
have you seen the meme? You've seen the meme, right?
Yeah. I always thought it was Mark Hamill. I think a lot of people thought it was Zach Galifianakis with a wig.
Right? There's a lot of people said that.
And I just always assumed it was like Mark Hamill in some Star Wars movie that I wasn't aware of or whatever. I don't know.
No, but a lot of boomers just were like, they were just apoplectic, how people couldn't recognize Jeremiah Johnson. I'm like, oh, fuck you. I had to explain that, no, Jeremiah Johnson is, in fact, not particularly relevant 40 years later, 50 years later. It's just not. No. We'll talk about the movie in a second, but like in terms of its cultural impact, when you think of Robert Redford, you're not thinking of Jeremiah Johnson. You're not even thinking of The Candidate or Barefoot in the Park. If you're thinking of Robert Redford, you're probably thinking of the movie he made with Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore. What's that? The one where they make the bet. Like that one comes to mind. Not I'm
the one you can't name.
The one I couldn't remember, but I'm telling you, if people are if people are thinking of Robert Redford, The Natural,
with Paul Newman, his movies that Cassidy and The Sting and like The Natural and even Sneakers. I think the boomers are going to at least know that one more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
those are the relevant ones. Jeremiah Johnson is not relevant today. I'm sorry. It's just I hate to break your hearts, boomers, but nobody knows who Jeremiah Johnson is.
Yeah.
So Jeremiah Johnson from 1972 stars Robert Redford as Jeremiah Johnson, and it's somebody called it. What do they call it? They compared it to the Revenant, but it's not like the Revenant. But
that's not a fair comparison.
He's a similar idea that guy goes off in the woods, but this guy goes off by himself. He just wants to be alone. He wants to trap and live off the land by himself and away from people. People didn't intrude, and he ends up meeting people and becoming part of their lives, and then part of his, and eventually he even finds himself a family and actually begins to settle down a little bit. And then, of course, the outside world continues to intrude upon his life and change it, and terrible things happen, and he moves on with his life again. It's a really good movie. I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed, how peaceful and quiet it is. I enjoyed the bigger moments that it has, but it stays relatively serene throughout. It's a very kind of gentle and pleasant movie in some ways. Even as with there's a lot of shooting and a lot of death, but it's actually a very gentle movie for the most part. A lot of the time he's just by himself, and
right.
Yeah, he's got a wife and a child that he can't communicate with. The kid can't talk. The wife is an Indian, Native American, so she can't communicate with him. She doesn't speak English. So, yeah, there's a lot of silence and a lot of allowing a scene to play out with just looks, and Redford just himself having to do much of the talking and explanation. And I like how as a character he's not comfortable with any of that. He's not comfortable trying to communicate with these people. And I love the growing warmth that he finds, because he starts to become more of a human. He has a big arc going on, which I really appreciated. There's a nice big character arc in this movie, and it's I don't know why a character arc is such a throwback, but it kind of is in some ways when you think about it. When you're comparing it to something like Doctor Strange, where you've got a multiverse, so everything gets reset at the end and goes back to normal.
Right.
It's nice to see a character have a big, wide arc of a life, and that's what you get in this movie, and it's really impressive in that way. It's directed by Sidney Pollack, which I've always associated Sidney Pollack with like New York metropolitan movies, Hollywood movies, and I was surprised to see that he directed this kind of a Western. It's really surprising and incredibly well made. It's a good movie. I really like it. Doesn't make it relevant today, but it's not like a movie that I'm going to remember for very long, but it's a very good movie to watch.
I should call it the relevant instead of the revenue. I was like, all I was doing early on was trying to think of jokes to make fun of this movie with, but as you know, all of a sudden you find yourself invested, and I like it in the way that, like, Dances with Wolves meets City Slickers kind of way. It's definitely I just remember when we finished City Slickers, which this isn't like City Slickers.
No,
we were just kind of like, this is good, but it's very white male. This is definitely a movie for, you know, our parents' generation, white male specifically. Mm-hmm. It's a kind of a man's driving Miss Daisy or whatever, but it's good. It's better than Driving Miss Daisy and Dance with Wolves for that matter, but it's still gentle and pleasant's a great way of putting it, because but in the best way possible. I don't know. I sound like I'm saying bad things about it, but
right. Well, it's our fault for turning gentle and pleasant into a pejorative on this show, but
right. But it's I guess a gentle and pleasant revenue. That's fair, I suppose.
It is a soft touch. This movie is a relatively soft touch until the violence becomes necessary.
Right, but it takes its time, and
there's an intermission in this movie.
I know it.
And the first 4 minutes, I was really kind of getting pissed off because they just do a score for like the first 4 minutes of the movie. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why is the movie starting?
I thought there was something wrong. Although I heard music, so it was just kind of like, this is weird. Was it frozen? Or I know my internet sucks. I hear the sound. It's kind of cool in just the way that, even if you were just kind of casually, if it was on your TV and you're casually doing something, it's one of those things that all of a sudden if you can make it 30 minutes in, you're going to get caught up in it and not be able to turn it off. And that's a pretty cool thing about this movie. And I'm glad we watched it. I was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's better than The Candidate. It's actually one of the better things I think that Robert Redford has done. Just to make a reference to something we've been kind of becoming a meme on the show is my blog, Sean at the Movies blog. Yeah. I just uploaded a bunch of Robert Redford reviews just in the wake of watching this movie, and found out that I liked An Unfinished Life. It's like, hey, that was a really good performance by him in a Lasse Hallström movie of all things. So that was a fun discovery. I'd forgotten that I liked that movie. So that keeps happening.
He definitely disappears into this role more so than he does in a lot of his. In a lot of ways, he's got the George Clooney thing going, where he plays himself a lot, or a version of himself. And here, he really does disappear into somebody else, which explains why, in a lot of ways, the fact that you don't recognize as Robert Redford's a compliment to his performance here.
Compliment to that beard, for sure.
Yeah. But he really does disappear into this role, and it's a good little fun movie. Yeah, fun's not the right word, but just a good little movie that's going to catch you off guard and surprise you how much you end up liking it. But
yeah, I recommend it. It's one of my favorite movies of Redford, and improved my opinion of him, especially after The Candidate, which I thought was empty and not particularly good. And obviously, I'm also not a fan of The Sting, so take that for what you will.
All right. Did you watch any of the 92 movies?
What were they?
Before, some of them, but they were Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even. Goldie Hawn and Crisscross. I believe she plays a stripper. The Favor, The Watch, and The Very Big Fish. Never heard of that one. One False Move and Poison Ivy.
One False Move is a great movie. I remember. I believe that is that the Hughes brothers. I think it might be the Hughes brothers. One of the first, if not their first film, and that's a really good one. It's a thriller and a crime film, and really well made, and definitely one that. And if I'm not mixing it up with another movie, it's actually it's a really good movie to see. I wish I would have taken the time to watch it. Beyond that, I've not heard of the other ones.
You've seen Poison Ivy for sure, haven't you?
Oh well, yeah. I've seen Poison Ivy.
And you were a teenager once. Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton, One False Move.
Yes, that is a great movie.
Small town police chief awaits the arrival of a gang of killers. Huh. Billy Bob Thornton wrote it. Carl Franklin?
Carl Franklin, that's what I was trying to think of. Not the Hughes brothers, Carl Franklin. Carl Franklin was a pretty terrific director in the early '90s, and I'm not sure what he's done since then. But yeah, he made. I think that was his debut feature, and he did a hell of a job with that movie. Low budget indie film, really got a lot of attention at the time.
Oh yeah, he ended up doing Devil in a Blue Dress, Out of Time, High Crimes. What has he done lately? Blind Hunter. He's done TV.
Yeah, well, I mean, making high crimes will send you into TV.
Was the third to last movie he did. 2003, Sam Cooke Legend was the last film he did, it looks like, and then he did a shit ton of TV. The Affair, Bloodline, House of Cards, Homeland. A lot of
I'm sure they're very good, but I don't watch TV.
Neither do I. Otherwise, it's a new TV podcast. All right. That is our show. Next week, we've got Firestarter, the remake of the Drew Barrymore, the classic, or it's our classic next week.
It's our classic. It's not a classic, but
we also
the Bon Jovi song is a classic.
Bon Jovi song called Firestarter?
It's they had a song on the soundtrack, I believe. It was one of their breakthroughs. It was on the soundtrack to Firestarter. Runaway. I think Runaway was on the Firestarter soundtrack.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like that. Tank House, We Need to Talk, and possibly Hatching. I think that was what we think might come out this week.
Hopefully. I really hope so. And I believe Rebel Wilson's Senior Year, I believe that comes out as well.
Yes, Senior Year. Netflix, right? 1992, we got The Water Dance with Helen Hunt. Lethal Weapon 3. Monster in a Box. I don't know that one. But yeah, next week.
Are you excited to watch Lethal Weapon 3?
Watch it like 3 times a year, so. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit ashamed. I have not given up on Mel Gibson. It's harder for me to be turned off by his movies than it is, like, say, Kevin Spacey. But I suppose old man racism is a little different than pedophilia. Not the. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go any further.
Cancel culture is a spectrum.
Thank you for bailing me out of that one. All right, let's play some Flex Chart and then call it a night. Kung Fu Panda 2, Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon.
Yes, that the show was good. Ocean's 12, The Man.
Ocean's 12.
Yes. Commando, Happy Gilmore.
Commando.
Happy Gilmore better, but if I can't find a quarter, you're going to win. What I got? Commando. You hit Happy Gilmore. Commando is the winner. Almost Famous, The Pacifier.
It's Almost Famous.
We'll read that one too. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Shitty Deal.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Talented Mr. Ripley would be cool.
Talented Mr. Ripley.
These have been landslides outside of Mando and Happy Gilmore. What do we got next? Come on, Internet. Help me out here.
I had a fun thing on the blog, going back to Oceans for a moment. I was posting George Clooney reviews for his birthday, and I posted a bunch of them, and I started reading my Oceans reviews and realized that I gave a somewhat negative review to the original Oceans 11, and then when I reviewed Oceans 12 and 13 and talked about Clooney after that, I talked about liking Oceans 11. So even within like 4 years of myself, I was still forgetting what it was that I enjoyed and didn't enjoy.
You also had a positive Ghost Rider review. That's cool.
Which what?
I said that was cool. I never saw Ghost Rider, but
oh yeah, that happened too. Yes, I wrote a positive review of Ghost Rider 1 of all things.
Nicolas Cage is in it. You just never know with him. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, My Fair Lady.
They're both trash.
Cool.
My Fair Lady. I'm kidding. They're not trash. I'm kidding. Triggered a lot of people.
Friday or Father of the Bride Part 2.
Oh, Friday by a lot.
I went and saw Ice Cube at the local arena a couple weeks.
How was it?
As an accountant, I've been to a lot of concerts the last month, and we had just seen Shinedown in Florida. They had this massive stage set up, fire and explosions, and it was packed, but the stage was so big it wasn't big before. Then I go see Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube and Warren G. And they just got a DJ, a table, some stripper poles, and then there's no production, no nothing. Way more people. And all I can think about is how much money they made. Ticket prices were the same. There was no production value, and people loved it. It was good. I mean, a lot of nostalgia for me because that's right for our heyday of music was that early 90s, mid 90s time. Even though they're pushing 60, it was fun.
Well, that's cool.
Harold and Kumar escape from Guantanamo Bay. Pink Floyd the Wall.
Pink Floyd the Wall.
Female prisoner 701 Scorpion.
Never heard of it.
Do you care about Treasure Planet?
Not particularly.
The Goonies, Macbeth.
I'm not seeing the 1971 Macbeth.
Motorcycle Diaries.
Yeah, Motorcycle Diaries is way better than the Goonies.
For 2012, Tin Cup.
Tin Cup.
Yes. Blade Runner, Wild Hogs.
Blade Runner. Fuck Wild Hogs so much. I hate that fucking movie.
Fighting with my
I don't have to look back at an old review on that one. I can recall that one very vividly, how much I hate it.
I actually, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. No, I didn't like it by any means. It was just kind of like, I had to go
it just wasn't as shitty as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was a relative came to town. I really wanted to see their motorcycle person, and I was just fine. And I was like, oh, this could have been worse. I'm not ever going to watch it again, so. Fighting with My Family, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Prisoner of Azkaban is maybe my favorite Harry Potter movie, so I'm going with that one.
I really like Fighting with My Family, though. I'm not a Harry Potter guy, but I feel like I'm wrong. I'll flip it just in case. George always gets this right anyway. Harry Potter. Natural Born Killers, Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. That's how much I hate Natural Born Killers.
Room, I Heart Puppies, not The Room.
That's tough. That's the first really hard one for me. Room is amazing, but I have this thing for I Heart Huckabees that nobody else does. Apparently, I just adore that movie. I'm going with I Heart Huckabees.
I'm with you. I think that movie is fantastic. That's Russell, right?
Yeah, David O. Russell. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love that movie. That was I hadn't seen Bruce until we did the podcast, so that was my introduction to David O. Russell, and that movie always had a soft spot in my heart. Room's great, but on a very traditional level, I think independent traditional level. I mean, it's an A24 movie. I love it,
Mm-hmm.
but there's just something more unique and outside the box. But I'll always lean towards versus traditional. Batman and Robin, the Man with the Golden Gun.
Batman and Robin.
Sometimes I don't like when flip charters. Annihilation, Beverly Hills Cop.
Annihilation.
Yeah. One versus great, and one was great at that time. Ocean of 11 and Ninth Gate.
That's Ninth Gate. Actually, Ninth Gate's not a bad movie, even though it's directed by Roman Polanski. Again, cancel culture is a spectrum.
I mean, I'm going to watch Ocean's 11 first, but I think but it's not enough. I think I'm going to go with you. Super 8, 10,000 BC.
Oh, Super 8 by a lot. Good God! Did you know how? I just learned this because I just posted my 10,000 BC review on the blog, and that movie, as ridiculously terrible as it is, was massively profitable. It made so much money. I was blown away how anybody, I guess foreign countries just were eager to watch this terrible movie because somehow that movie made a lot of money. I was baffled.
As a kid, I always wanted to be a film critic, so it just seemed like fun. And my brother was always like, "You know movies you have to watch though? You can't just watch the good ones. You got to watch them all." And that just reminds me of 10,000 BC. Do you know what Hardware is? Because I do.
I don't recognize Hardware.
The picture, pay it forward.
Oh, the Hitcher. I wish I could unleash the Hitcher on Pay It Forward. To combine those two movies and just have the Hitcher murder Pay It Forward. That would be great. That's what I'd watch.
I would watch that movie. Combine the two. I'll pay it forward already.
I'll Pay It Forward to Wrecker Howard and murder everybody and Pay It Forward.
I'll start with you, Karen Spacey. Twilight Zone, the movie, Road Trip.
Road Trip.
Yeah. GoldenEye, Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead.
It's a Wonderful Life, City Lights.
City Lights.
Moonwalker, Rumble in the Bronx.
We didn't even talk about James Bond. Why are they? Oh wait, no, that's Moonraker. Sorry, that's Moonwalker. Is not even a real movie.
Oh, okay, my fault.
It's like 16 minutes.
That's not. Come on, fix that. Sleeping with the Enemy, Rumble in the Bronx.
Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah. Stuck on You, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Noah Holmes, you know what that is?
We literally talked about that on the show, dude.
I'm sorry. What was it? I forgot. Starting to have internet issues. Milk, Cabin Fever.
Yeah, milk.
Alright.
Man
Last one, Man on Fire, Electra.
on fire. Slate Electra on fire.
Alright. Last one. One more. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Goodfellas.
Fuck. Goodfellas.
I agree. Our internet's completely ruined, so I'll talk to everybody later.
All right. Thanks.
All right.